Welcome back. It's another round of sales exploration, the international version, so you hear me speaking English. What doesn't change? Grabbing my cup of coffee. What also doesn't change? It's still a sales exploration, and it's still another round of dirty sales tricks. While we wrapped up the dirty sales tricks on the German-speaking side, we still have to fill in some blanks for the English-speaking crowd, and we're going to do that. So we're working on our list of stuff we didn't do in English, and I present you that shebang of dirty sales tricks. And one in the book says, and depending on where you come from, especially if you're a US crowd watching, you will know that dirty sales trick because you got sold a hell lot of stuff on that. What I'm talking about, an inspirational sell, and the good old story of storytelling from rags to riches. It's a dirty sales trick, no joke. Yes, it is. So, remember the structure of a sales trick. You have to have a specific target audience which will resonate extremely well with the storyline you present. And on the other hand, you normally take just parts of the story, parts of the truth, just parts of it, never the whole story. So inspirational sell and a vision sell and stuff like that, combined with the storytelling sell, is one of the most used in the US and UK, or in the English-speaking version of the world. We see that even more if you watch the sales market like I did for over the last 20 years. We see it infiltrating the German-speaking world and in other countries, other languages too. But it is one of the most, and especially not the UK-ish most, but it's one of the most US dirty sales trick. So what do? First of all, you sell the story all over again. But, and that's now the interesting part, while that is a dirty sales trick and not a thing you should do, it is you tell your story. It's your story. From rags to riches, from the deep low point, and then it's your hero journey. Remember all that stuff? Yes, there are thousands and thousands of storytelling seminars out there. I was a little bit confused about why people need storytelling seminars, because they can watch freaking TV, and that's literally what there is. The most TV, movies, and anything, it's the storyline of someone overcoming a hurdle, building up their way, and either it's a drama, doesn't end well, it's a comedy, we love a little bit more, it's action-filled, stuff explodes, or it's just a feel-good story, and yes, there is a happy end. You see, not that much variety in it, to be honest, so, but okay, I'm not a storytelling person, or at least I don't give seminars on storytelling person. So if you think about that, if you watch a TV, it is a show which is well made. You see that person overcome the hurdles, they go up into the sunshine at the end, and there is a very motivating factor in it. It's the idea of, and that's where the dirty sales trick comes in, it's the idea, if that person did make it, I can make it too. And that, girls and boys, is the story of a very, very dirty sales trick. That sales trick is so dirty that it's ingrained in cultures. It keeps people low, it keeps people outside of the box, and it's one of the most biggest reasons also of gender inequality, poverty, racism, and all that stuff. Because what the story of I made it, you made it too does, it lays the full force of your personal success on you. In reality, that's totally not true. The reality of success is partly you. Yes, there's always parts of you who can force success, but it's also circumstances, contextualizing, and considering your starting point, it can be much harder for you to overcome these hurdles, and sometimes just even impossible. So the dirty sales trick of my hero journey is nothing to brag about, weirdo. If you think about all the inspirational, motivational speakers, what they do, they tell you how they came from A to Z. Then they're gonna sell you a system, how they made it, just their journey, and you have to buy that. But it's a bigger picture, you have to think of that. The same old hero story, if that would work out so well that every one of us is individually possible and responsible to do that, then why are we in the situation we are? Where we have economical divides, societal divide, racial divides, all that stuff really nobody needs, because it's not true. So that's why that dirty sales trick is a really dirty one, because it has a very societal impact. A hero journey is a good thing, and it can be an inspiring story, but you have to tell the truth. And if you don't sell something, so if I tell you my story and don't sell anything based on that story, it's totally fine. I can tell you my story. I think most people, at least how many interviews I give on that, think it's an inspirational word and an inspirational story. Considering I'm autistic, I'm female, I'm like, there was enough stuff I had to overcome. But let's be honest, it's first of all not a real, in my world, not a real hero story. Then look at me, still white, still Germany, still middle class, even have a working, my parents have a work class background. It's still middle class. So of course there were a hell of opportunities I took. I was pushed to, I was forced to have all that stuff. And in the end, what I did to overcome that hurdle is nothing you can probably replicate. So yay, go for it. I would be very encouraging you to study math, go an international university. Here we start. I studied in the University of Zurich, not like in my hometown or so. You see, that's all of that, which is not true. So the hero sell, especially if you sell stuff on your story, it's just your story. You can make people resonate, but, and that's where the dirty sales trick comes in. A dirty sales trick is not your story. That's not a dirty sales trick. But if the product that people sell is based on their story, and it's kind of not like a proper, like I say, deep dive coaching system, anything else, or like a better product where you really talk about, like, let's get you educated, and that gets you not only empowered but educated, then it's not a really dirty sales trick. But if you look at the market, especially in like the coaching industry and all that stuff, I did it that way, you have to do it the exact same way. And that's where the dirtiness comes in, because that's for sure is not true. So now, why that dirty sales trick is leaving out all the contextualizing stuff, all that, we also fall a little bit trapped into that. First of all, we love good stories. Our brain works on stories very well. Why does our brain work on stories so well? Because our brain works in relationships. The basic structure of how our brain thinks and is ingrained, even me being autistic, is that it has a relationship status in it. So it thinks in relationships. And a good story, from rags to riches or overcoming hurdles, it feels like I can resonate with this story. I can go into a relationship from it. But now our brain is not dumb. It knows it's a story. So it will get up to that nagging little voice like, but how does his or her overcoming a hurdle helps me in my life? I don't have these challenges. Of course, if it's a good sales trick, that nagging voice will be toned down. That's why if you look at a good movie, you don't buy, you buy the movie, not a coaching system or a product behind that. Yeah, you see the point. So that's why we have to take care. So there's always in these dirty sales tricks two sides. Make sure that if you use your story, which is a cool thing, also tell how that is a kind of a breaking point in the middle of, and that's what I did, and that is what you can replicate. That's normally like a certain kind of structure, a certain kind of system, but it's not like your story can be replicated. A dirty sales trick is based on story replication because it's a shortcut for the service provider and in a certain moment for yourself. Because you can like focus on just like do as they do. But there is a saying, if you ask really like successful people, and you will learn that early on, it's that thing where you learn as a good consultant, don't do as I do, do as I say. That's a little bit of a different thing. So if you look at the stuff we're providing from you, from Premise Economy, Empathic Business, Investment Time and Media, and look at our Instagram and all that, stuff, you will see a certain style, we talk a certain kind of way, we use certain kind of stuff. The thing is, we're doing our jobs very long, I have videos. I started with that video thing. If you go deep dive into the YouTube channel, you find stuff from 2014, 2015, 2016. There's coming a blogger article up in German. We'll provide in English soon. There is news on that. And it's from 2016. So we're getting that out of the box. And of course, we can reuse that. So if you don't have a video from 2016, how would you reuse that? You see, there is years and years of stuff on it. And that's what they're not telling you, is that a certain kind of that you always just see a momentum. You see me at that moment. You didn't see me probably 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So you don't really know the story of all of it. And in a dirty sales tech world, you just take that. You take also the rags, so the worst stuff, you either accelerate it, you turn it down. But of course, if you look back at your life, you would have made probably better decisions and stuff like that. So the same old story. I did that to overcome that. Yeah, but that's not helping. And that's why that dirty sales trick is so dirty, because it has a societal impact. So funny thing, if you think about that, dirty sales tricks either cost you money, nerves, but there is a bigger picture of it. If everyone tells this personal story and tells people, I did it, though you can do it, that can be inspiring, but it's for sure not the whole story and not the whole truth. So if you read an inspiring biography, that's a cool thing. Let's say that's good invested money. But if someone kind of like makes out of that, I did that just based on a personal experience, something, is that really helpful? No, why? Why then are university filled with scientists figuring stuff out? That doesn't make sense, huh? Yeah. But that's kind of the divide we moved into. It's kind of like the personal story now, and the personal story overcoming of stuff is rated so much higher than a deep dive, knowledge-based scientific work. Not a good thing if you look at our certain situation at the moment. So dirty sales tricks, reprogramming the brain, not on a very short term, so that you feel manipulated in a certain kind of way, and on a very long term, because we repeat the same old story again and again. I told you, the same old story of my personal hero journey, to that you can join me with my personal hero journey. I'm going to get you all autistic brains. Yeah, that's our new sales page. Non-product sell on our Christmas bundle was one thing. Now I got autistic brains for you to offer. But that's kind of the backstory of that. So what should you do? You should always question. If you see a hero story, be inspired, that's totally fine. But always look at the product behind. Is it just a replication of your story and I should do the same? Or is there a real baseline in it that I really, that product helps me out of my worst situation? So the storytelling, this thing, and the hero stories, mainly considered in the coaching and consulting industry, that's kind of like a very classic sell in there. The other thing is, if you use your story, make it obvious that, of course, it's a hero story, because everyone, literally every one of you, has a hero story. But make it obvious how it relates to either your products or your coaching or whatever. Where is that point of like, yeah, that's part of my story, how I ended up here, and that's inspired probably going into whatever you did afterwards. But make sure that the product and your personal hero story don't mix it. It's just bad business. And it will also fall on your feet. Because at a certain degree, most people think way too short term of their products and way too short term of the life cycle of your business. First company I founded was back in 2007. That's a very long time ago, considering we have nearly at the end of 2020. But being that long in the market means also that you see how long stuff is. And there are relationships, clients, friends based from that time. And if I would have done crazy shit, they wouldn't talk to me anymore. And that's also funny if clients, not every client is always very happy, and not always every client has to move on. But when clients sometimes come back and they're like, yeah, because like they went left instead of right, there's always ones like, yeah, but at least, it has a different baseline. And that's why you should focus on that, on a certain kind of, if you tell your story, and please use your story. It's an important thing in sales and marketing, to use your voice, your story. But the products should always have a different backing. That's where you go into. And when we start out, fall trap into very easily, especially most of us, look at English-speaking stuff. Let's be honest, the German-speaking stuff is sometimes so way behind that you're like, okay, that did the US 20 years ago. So of course we were inspired, but because we don't see behind the scenes how stuff really works, what scale it in there, anything else, we come sometimes to very dumb conclusions. So be aware of that. The conclusion part is always the problem in that world. So a dirty sales trick is the hero story journey, especially if you tell my story is that and you buy XYZ and replicate my story. Use your story, on the other hand, if you can make a relationship point and make a special point in that, that's a good thing. But there's another but. Storytelling in itself never sells. If anyone tells you that storytelling is a sales technique, no, it's not. It's a relationship technique. And if you do proper sales, relationship is one and a big important part, but it's not per se a sales technique. So don't fall trap into that storytelling is going to sell you shit. It won't. You will be enraged that it's even getting worse than that. Storytelling is one tool set to establish a relationship and probably sometimes even tell complex stuff and make it more tangible, but it's not a freaking sales technique. Don't buy into that trap. We have many clients who come from that standpoint. I'm like, but I went to a storytelling seminar. Now I sell more. No, you don't, because then you wouldn't have called me. So that's kind of like out of that hero story, because of that partial view of the world, it came up that storytelling is a sales technique. It's not. So be aware of that. Storytelling is a cool thing to make your brain and the brain of your potential clients in their relationship style to relate to you. But be aware that your product should not be based solely on your story, and that's a very female thing also. So be very aware of that, and don't fall trap into storytelling as a selling technique. It's shitload. No, just don't. So that was another round of dirty sales trick in the English speaking world. I hope you have found some insights and an update. Yes, we're still hard on the 1st of November, and we're gonna offer you the same as we did just the moment in Germany, or in German, because there are definitely international clients in there, is we're gonna start out with our Real Business Magic Challenge and our 33 days of inspired action. Keep you posted on that. Watch out on the Facebook page, on the YouTube. There will be links provided to you, and I hope to see you soon, and probably till next week. See you. Bye-bye.